All right, let's check that we are live. Yep, looks like it. So let's get started. So today, what I am going to work on is more documentation, like usual. Till we get this done, I want to keep working on it. So I noticed a little thing. I realized something, I should say. So I noticed I've deleted the location data from here, and I've added some context here for some stuff. I think my volume's a little loud. Turn it down just a little bit. Hopefully that's better. So what I know, let's go back to Excalidraw. So, oh, still got this here. All right. Do they have like a clear thing? Reset the canvas. Okay. So, in order to make this scalable, or easily scalable, I should say, what we're doing is we're creating a bunch of little locations here. So, for example, this one might be New York. And then we got this one over here that might be Los Angeles. Is that an E? I think it's an E. Whatever. So these are like our different locations. Each location will have tables and everything. This is where people join in to certain tables with other people. So in order to keep this scalable, what I'm doing is each location is going to be its own subdomain. For example, if we wanted to join a group, the Cosphere in New York, then we would go to newyork.cosphere.work, right? And that's it. So, and then same thing with Los Angeles. Yeah, just go to that subdomain. What that makes it easy to do is I can branch each of these off onto their own server, or I could have them share a server for to save money on servers. And if there's not a lot of traffic, then I can have them share a server. If there's more traffic, I can break it off into another server, and I can, if New York gets big, I guess I could scale up like the server. Although I doubt any one location will have that much traffic. Um, so I'm thinking. So I've got a different server, different subdomain for each location. It'd also make it quicker if you just want to, I just want to go to New York. I can just type in New York.cosphere.work. Now, what this means is these are each going to have their own server with their own database, and so essentially what I'll be doing is be creating a front end and a back end. So I'll say create a front end and a back end here. That'll be on GitHub. And then what I'll do is, when I start the New York server, I'm sure there's a way to do this. See, yeah, I will create an instance of this, pass in like some environment variables saying, hey, this is the New York server. And same thing with the back end. Boom, I'll just create an instance of it and throw it in over here. And that the front end and the back end together will be on this server running this location. And same thing for Los Angeles. Whoops. Hold on. Create an instance of these, pass in like some environment variables, whatnot, and just create another instance of this over here. This makes it scalable, very easily scalable. I just start up another server, and servers I use Linode, so like a dedicated server, I think they're as cheap as like $35 now. Alternatively, I can run this on the same server for just a little bit extra work. Basically, the same domain will take in multiple subdomains, and then there'll just be kind of like a middleware there. It grabs which what the subdomain is and then just splits it off to the different services. So yeah, if we do put this on a single server, then what we'll have is basically just sort of a, I don't have any different shapes readily available, so just a different sort of subservice here. This will take in our requests and then read the subdomain and then decide which server to send it to. Right? Alright, so, but the thing with this is, so the location data, like all the tables and stuff like that, yeah, that can be stored in a server for New York and a server for Los Angeles. They can store their own data, but the user data is going to be separate. The user data is overall, so we're not going to have user data for New York and user data for Los Angeles. So what we're going to do here is create another server, create a separate server over here, and this will have both a back end and a front end as well. Yeah. But these will be different applications, different programs. So they have a back end for, and this will be cosphere.work. All right. So this will be cosphere.work with no subdomain. And so it'll have like the landing page, documentation that we're writing now, and like a help page, contact, whatever else, stuff that's not locations. And then this will also have a database. So the database here will sit here. This will store all of the users on this database. So this, so our New York here, the front end, if it needs to make some requests, if it's getting data about the user, then what it'll do is we'll reach out to cosphere.work for the user data, and it'll reach out to the tables, or reach out to its own internal server for like table data, for example. I just realized that there will be an issue that I'll have to work out with this is auth. So authorization is going to be interesting. I don't know how I'll do that yet, but I'll figure it out. Basically, because if this is not storing user data, then I have no way to authorize individuals here. Not sure. I just now thought of that while I was talking about it, so I'll look into that. I'll figure out a way to do auth. So I won't worry too much about that now. It might involve, yeah, it'll probably just involve you make the request here, and this this backend will have to reach out to this database. This will also be good because I'll be having multiple servers like this. What I'll do is I'll just have every location back up every other location, and every like cosphere.work for the data. I'll have this. I can have this server back up the data from. It'll have its own data, and then it'll back up New York and Los Angeles. New York will have its own data, and then it will back up cosphere, the cosphere.work, and Los Angeles will back up New York and cosphere. So it makes good fault tolerance. So, if one of the servers blows up, I can easily rebuild it. So that's the way it's going to work. So what this means is that basically I'm going to need to create 4 different code bases. So you're going to need the backend for cosphere.work, the backend for locations, which will just create instances of the front end for cosphere.work and the front end for locations, which will be just instances of one code base. So I'm thinking that's how I'm going to work this. I was thinking about using something like Atlas. So if you don't know, Atlas is so MongoDB Atlas. Since I'm using MongoDB, Atlas is a good way to centralize all of the data. But I actually think it's a lot better if you can just store the data right on your server. It's faster, and I'll have backups. And Atlas just kind of pissed me off. Their site doesn't even work on Firefox. Like, see if it does it, if it continues to do it. MongoDB.com, and it's slow and junk. Yeah, there, it's loaded. Oh, there we go. Like, I don't know how such a large company has such a terrible non-working website. See how slow and weird that was to load. Now let's click on pricing, and I don't think this is going to load at all. Works on Chrome, so it means it means they're intentionally making it not work on Firefox. That's the only way, because Chrome and Firefox, you write the same code, it runs the same, except for a few minor outliers. If it was Safari, that's a different thing. Safari's terrible and doesn't implement standards. But anyway, that was a sidebar. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. The authorization will be an issue. Something I could do because I'll be storing backups. I could reach out to the backups and check the users on that. And if they're not found there, then reach out to the main database to check there, because it might have not backed up yet. But we will see. Yeah, that's a problem for another day. Anyway, so that's my ideas, my thoughts right there. So that's why location is gone, which I just realized before I started the stream. I'm probably going to have to add that back in. Maybe. Again, thinking about how I'm going to do that, because I was thinking, location data will just be stored in, the environment variables and whatnot if you need it. It'll pretty much everything will be the same. You'll just need to know the name of the location. But I do need a way to know all of the locations that exist. So that might actually be something that I put in this main database here. That way these guys can reach out to it in order to in order to get like a list of all available locations, because we're going to want to display at least some sort of option, drop down, or options of joining other locations. So we'll need to present a list of them. They'll just redirect to, if you're in New York, you'll see Los Angeles, and it'll redirect to or link to losangeles.cosphere.work. So that's the general idea. It's a bit convoluted, but it'll make, once I get it going, it'll make things really easy, actually, and very, very easy to scale if I need to, or keep things small if I want to. Because, this I had on the same server, just routing, whereas I could just get rid of that and run these locations independently on different servers. So I don't need that routing service. It'll be more expensive, but if I need to scale, then that's what I can do. And probably not a ton of scaling required. But with the not not service workers, web sockets. Why do I keep forgetting that word? Web sockets. With the web sockets, there might be a lot of back and forth data. So I don't want that to get clogged up if there's a lot. Because I'm going to be having something on the front end where it requests all the table data every, maybe probably every minute, so it can ensure that it is up to date and correct. But, all right, enough talking. Let's get into it, see what we're doing. Just a moment. There we go. Okay, so where are we? Where are we? What are we doing? I don't know. I never know. Let's. Okay, we're creating our table data, or the documentation for our table data. So I had this originally, just a brief description. So if we read this, table data is specific to each location, and each location has its own server and database. Therefore, in order to make a request for table data, the request should be made to the location from which data is required. For example, to get the location data for New York, our request will be made to https newyork.cosphere.work. An instance of the front-end code is created for each location. Therefore, location names should not be hard-coded, but stored in an environment variable that will be updated for each location. For the examples here, we will use the fictional location of Foland. All right, so, and we've got our table object. So this just describes what's in it. I mean, see here, seats is an array of object. This is the big thing, the most important thing for a table. And then we just did like seats._ID, seats.user_ID to show what's inside of them. I'd like to do it the way Stripe does it, where it's sort of expandable. So you click on something on seats and you can see what's in it. But that's not for today. Maybe in the future. Okay, so let's make sure our example is good. Example is good, and you can see it's large because of the seats. So every seat already has pre-built objects in them. It's always going to be like that. And you see, but you can see like this is showing some people like Bob at table 2, Katya at table 3, Frank at table 6. Yeah, and that's obviously one index because we're talking first, second, third, fourth, yada yada. So it has their user ID, the username, just the first name, and then the avatar, so that's the location of the photograph on the server. This will that'll definitely need to be saved on the main CoSphere server. So the good thing about this, what I've already done in Rust, that was working on the cosphere.work API. So that is good. I don't have to go back and fix anything. We haven't worked on the location or the table stuff yet, so we're still good there. Okay, next, what we're going to do is figure out what we need for routes. Now, we're not doing WebSockets yet. We're just talking routes for tables. So what we're going to need, let's create these in the menu. Just everything that we'll need for this. So sub, and that just as a reference of what we'll need. Might need to add some later if I forgot something, but get start. So one thing I know that we're going to need, the back end is we're going to need a route tables for getting the JSON web token from Jitsi. Because the way Jitsi works is from the server we have to make a request. We make a request to Jitsi with the data of the person that is going to join. They send us a JSON web token. We forward that to the user, and then the user sends that off to Jitsi when they join the meeting as a way to validate them. So I've already done that, my previous one, so I do know how to do that already. Fortunately, it's a bit of a pain, but it's fine. So we're gonna have one. So join table. Should this be? No, this is fine. Excuse me. Fine here. So join table. So that's one route. Now, getting table data is all going to be done via WebSockets because it's going to be it's going to be back and forth between server and client. A lot of back and forth there, so I want WebSockets to handle that. So let's look at RESTful routes again, see which ones of these we need. RESTful routes. Let's take this one. Okay, so do we need to get a list of all tables? No. Because so when we list we just get a list of the tables. That's going to include all their data as well. So I'm just going to leave that for the WebSockets. So new tables, new table, create table. No, that is going to be done automatically. So basically, if the tables start getting full, a new table will automatically be created. Show. So info about one table. No, that's in the ease of simplicity, we're always going to get all table data and send it all down. Maybe. Well, that's either way. Haven't decided that yet, but either way, that's going to be a WebSockets thing. Edit and update. That's all going to be done. Tables aren't really. Yeah, so the editing of them will just be changing who's at the table. And so that will be done by the WebSocket. Destroy. Again, it's automatic. So what I'm seeing here is the only route that we need for tables is what the hell am I doing here? Is to join the table. Should we just handle all table data by WebSockets? That seems, since there's only that one, we can join table through a WebSocket. Doesn't sound like a bad idea. That would mean that we could just have the whole location so the server for locations would just purely be a WebSocket server. That would actually be a really good idea, I think. I wouldn't have to worry about HTTP requests and shit. So basically our cosphere.work server, the main server, will be an HTTP server, and then the locations would just be WebSockets. I'm thinking that's the way to go. Um, so yeah, sorry, this is boring because there's a lot of complexity here that I'm thinking about. Mostly just talking my way through this. So I think what this means is I want to get I want to just build this first. Just build that out entirely, probably even get it up online first. And then start working on the locations. This will give us our hold on. It'll give us our user data. That will give us our landing page, our documentation, help page, all that stuff. Hmm. And these are just going to be WebSocket servers. That would actually be really, really simple and convenient. HTTP server, or this HTTP server, WebSocket servers. I like that. I'm trying to think. So they'll need they'll need to get user data. So they'll reach. I'm thinking about what each location will need. So they'll need to get user data, obviously. Need to do stuff with their user data, which they'll reach out to the main server. We'll need to do table data, which they'll do via WebSocket locally. Auth is it might need to make so the server might need to make an HTTP request to go to the main server. We'll see. Um, they'll need to get location data, as I mentioned previously. So they'll need to reach out to so the location data will be stored here. Just a collection of all the locations that are available. That'll be stored on CoSphere or on the main server. So that'll be HTTP. So basically, just add back in, kind of redo what I deleted. The location data will be simpler though. It won't need a list of tables or anything. It'll basically just be for each location, we'll just name and subdomain essentially. So, I mean let's go back here. So essentially, stood at the bottom of this. The data would just be so each document in the database will be name, be so for New York, and subdomain New York, so that we know location. And that's basically the only reason for that is so we can just reach out to the server and get a list of all of them that are available. You know, because in the future I might do something like New York, Bronx, for example, and then this would be, and then this would be Bronx, and then another server, not a server but location. God damn you. Be another location here. It'd be name, be New York, Manhattan, subdomain, Manhattan, for example. Yeah, something like that. Then you'd have like Los Angeles. That's all it would be for a location. It's basically just so we have a way to go and fetch. That'll just be manually. Yeah, as I add locations, I'll just add them to the server manually myself. And as far as like automatically creating your own location, it'll have to spin up a new server. Yada yada. I can handle that. It's in the future though. So yeah, I think what I need to do, I need to create this first, the front and back end for cosphere.work, which I'm actually pretty close, to be honest, already. Um, I need to create the landing page. So let's make a list of things I need. Need a landing page. Need help, which is probably going to be empty for now. Just put something there. I'm going to create the help as I go. Um, so sort of as I'm building up the location code, I will, as I add a feature, on the front end, I'll add it to help. That'll make it simpler. Or more realistically, I'll create the entire thing and then go back and have to write all of the help all at once. That's probably what'll happen. I always have these grandiose ideas of doing it, but I just don't feel like it until it's critical. Yeah, so, and then when you, so this cosphere.work, for example, it'll log you in. The problem will be, yeah, there'll be sharing, because local storage, as far as I know, doesn't persist between um, subdomains. So that'll have to figure that out. Uh, can local storage be used between subdomains? Use local storage across subdomains. This is how I use it across. Use an iframe. That's a real hacky thing to do. So let's just read. Firefox and IE8. When the fuck was this? Right, 2010. Okay. This is kind of old. Okay, this is June 22nd. iframe. And on each child example domain, just do a post message. Do parent.example iframe. All I need to do is set up a protocol of how to interpret your post message to talk to the parent example iframe. Yeah. Here's a good art. Okay. If you're using the iframe and post message solution just for this particular problem, I think it might be less work. Just store the data in a subdomainless cookie. And if it's not already in local storage, unload, grab it from the cookie. Doesn't need the extra iframe. That's not here. Gone. 4K maximum cookie size. So that's November. For sharing between subdomains of a given superdomain. Yeah. There's a technique you can use in that situation. It can be applied to local storage index for shared worker broadcast channel. Excellent. All of which offer shared functionality between same origin pages, but for the same reason don't respect any modification document domain that would let them use the super domain as their origin domain. Pick one main domain for the data to belong to. Yeah, okay. So cosphere.work would be mine. It will hold your local storage data. Okay, good. Use the local storage normally for that chosen domain. Okay. On all subdomains, use JavaScript to set document.domain equals example.com. Then also create a hidden iframe and navigate it to some page on the chosen, as long as you can insert a very little snippet of JavaScript on there. If you're creating the site, just make an empty page specifically for this purpose. Okay. Well, that just seems like a shit way to do it, but it might be the only way. Cross-domain local storage. As you may know, local storage is domain-based. You can't read or write from local storage. It's on different, even if that's a subdomain. But there's an iframe trick. Yeah, this seems to be shit. I hate that. That is gross. But all right. Fucking gross. I don't like it, but I can't believe there's no way to do this. Yes, redirects to the same exact question. Transfer. No, we're not doing the authentication token as parameters. Oh, um, no, that wouldn't work. So you can't. There's some workarounds with iframe, but those are neither elegant nor secured. You should, yeah, they can, they're secure. It's secure as long as you're using HTTPS. You should use cookie with appropriate domain attribute domain. Read the following answer for security with cookie versus local storage. Whether or not the iframe technique is secure, it's definitely super hacky. That's true. Yeah, it looks like I'll most likely be doing that. The iframe. It's hacky, but if it works, it works. So basically, an iframe just sort of embeds another web page on a web page. So likely what I will do is that where basically it embeds it. It will embed. So if I go to newyork.cosphere.work, it will embed the it'll embed cosphere.work. Then cosphere.work can do like some sort of post message to send it up to the parent of New York .cosphere.work and transfer it. As long as you're using HTTPS, it's secure. Yeah, and it's on your own computer, so it'll work. Why do they not make that possible? Because I mean, it's so common for there to be subdomains. Man, I just thought of something. So this is going to be an issue if I try to make a, shit. I'll just have to make something specific for that. So if I try to make, I want an application. So, for example, if I want to create a, so my idea is to eventually create a progressive web app with this. That's a problem because if I create a progressive web app from a location, um, it will only be for that location. You'd have to, like, if you want to go to New York, you'd have to download the New York PWA. If you wanted to go to Los Angeles, you'd have to download the Los Angeles PWA, which is not what I want. Shit. What if we have one front end and then multiple back ends, an instance for each back end? I mean, we could still do the subdomains. Um, so yeah, you know what? I think this is a short stream for today. Sorry about that. I need some more time to cook on this, and I'll come back with a solution. Um, I'm sure this is not terribly interesting. Not that watching me write code is, but I'm gonna end this for today because I need some time to cook on this. Maybe sleep on it. Get some new ideas. Figure out what I'm doing, um, and then I'll come back to it. And I'll be yeah. It's Saturday anyway, so well, waste of everybody's time today. My bad. So I will. I'm gonna sign off now. So take it easy. Bye.